the human soldier's unexpected gift, an alien woman who would change his fate. The sky above Violia was a roiling storm of gray and violet, illuminated by distant flashes of laser fire and explosions. The war had been raging for months, and each day felt heavier than the last. Human forces had been pushed to the limits, fighting against alien armies whose technology was strange, unpredictable, and terrifying. Elia's squad moved cautiously through the ruined city streets, broken buildings looming like silent witnesses to the chaos. Smoke rose in thick clouds, carrying the acrid smell of burning metal and scorched earth. Somewhere in the distance, a civilian scream cut through the din of battle. Elia's jaw tightened. Civilians shouldn't be part of this fight, but Violia had become a battlefield without mercy. "Eyes up," Elias muttered to his squad. His voice was calm, but inside he felt the familiar churn of fear and adrenaline. They could be anywhere. Private Rin, a young soldier barely out of training, nodded, gripping his rifle nervously. "Sir, do you think we'll make it out of this one?" he asked, voice trembling. Elias didn't answer immediately. He had learned that words in times like these were more dangerous than silence. Finally, he said, "We survive. That's what we do. Focus on your training and trust your instincts." The squad pressed forward, moving from cover to cover, scanning every shattered window and doorway. Alien drones buzzed overhead, scanning for life. Elias' heart raced as a sudden burst of energy fire streaked across the street, narrowly missing Rin. The young soldier stumbled but regained his footing, eyes wide with fear. "Keep moving," Elias shouted, firing back at the unseen attackers. The humans had their weapons, but the aliens, energy shields, and adaptive armor made every shot a gamble. Even the best marksmen could spend hours trying to hit a target that seemed to anticipate every move. As they advanced, the city opened into a wide plaza. Buildings on either side were nothing more than crumbling shells. In the center, a massive alien tank hovered slightly above the ground, its metallic surface glowing faintly. It scanned the area with a blue beam, seeking out any signs of life. Elias signaled his squad to take cover. "We can't face that thing head-on," he muttered. He knew their weapons might not penetrate its shields. "We need a plan." Before he could think further, a sudden roar echoed from one of the collapsed buildings nearby. Debris shifted, and Elias instinctively raised his rifle, ready to fire. But what emerged from the rubble was not an enemy soldier. It was a woman, tall, lithe, with skin that shimmered faintly under the storm's dim light. Her eyes glowed a soft amber, and strange patterns traced across her arms like flowing energy. She moved with incredible speed and precision, pulling trapped civilians from the wreckage. Her actions were almost too fast to follow. Elias blinked, stunned. What is she?" he whispered. Private Rin stared as well, mouth open. "Is she one of them?" Elias shook his head slowly. "I don't think so, watch." The woman lifted a large beam of debris effortlessly and set it aside, freeing a family trapped underneath. She gave them a reassuring nod before sprinting toward another collapsed building. Despite the chaos and danger, there was a calm confidence in her movements that made Elias' heart pound in a strange way. "Sir, should we help her?" Rin asked, uncertain. Elias considered it. "No," he said finally. "We stick to our mission, but watch her. She's not attacking anyone. She might know something we don't." The squad crouched behind cover, observing the woman as she worked. Then, without warning, alien soldiers emerged from a side street, their weapons trained on the woman. She didn't hesitate. Energy flares shot from her hands, striking the soldiers with precise, controlled bursts. They were thrown back, disoriented, while the civilians scrambled to safety. Elias' jaw tightened. The woman's abilities were unlike anything he had ever seen. Human soldiers were strong, smart, and determined, but this was different. And yet he couldn't ignore the way she protected the weak. There was courage in her actions, a bravery that went beyond mere survival. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the plaza. Elias was thrown to the ground, ears ringing. When he looked up, the alien tank was moving toward the woman, its massive weapon aimed directly at her. He felt a surge of instinctive anger. "Stay down," he shouted to his squad, but he knew they were exposed. He couldn't stand by and watch her die. Something inside him urged him forward. He ran. Bullets whizzed past him, sparks flying as they struck the ground around him. He dove behind a half-collapsed wall, peeking out to aim at the tank. His shots barely scratched its surface. Then he saw the woman turn, her eyes locking on his for the briefest moment. It was almost like she understood. With a sudden burst of speed, she moved toward the civilians again, using her energy to shield them from the tank's fire. Elias realized something. She wasn't just powerful, she was strategic. She knew exactly what to do to protect those who couldn't defend themselves. He could see the tank preparing another attack. If it fired, everyone in the plaza would be destroyed. Elias gritted his teeth and made a split-second decision. He sprinted toward the woman, drawing the tank's attention. The energy beam fired, narrowly missing him as he dove behind a pile of rubble. The woman glanced at him briefly, then smiled faintly, a gesture so human it caught him off guard. She raised her hands, and a wave of energy surged outward, forcing the tank to stagger back. Sparks flew and the ground shook, but the tank didn't stop moving. Elias' mind raced. He knew he had only one chance. He crawled closer, finding a small opening in the tank's armor where he could plant a charge. The aliens had underestimated humans before, but he didn't think they would again. Sweat dripped down his face as he worked quickly, guided by adrenaline and sheer determination. Finally, he set the charge. He looked up at the woman who was still shielding the civilians. He gave her a small nod. She returned it with the faintest of smiles. Then he pressed the detonator. The explosion rocked the plaza. Dust and smoke filled the air, making it hard to see. When it cleared, the tank lay in ruins, smoldering and broken. The civilians were safe, and the woman stood unharmed, her energy aura flickering softly. Elias staggered toward her, heart pounding. Who are you?" he asked, breathless. She regarded him with calm curiosity. "My name is Lyra," she said. Her voice was melodic, almost soothing, yet filled with quiet strength. "I am not your enemy. I protect those who cannot protect themselves." Elias nodded slowly, still catching his breath. I can see that. You're different." Lyra's amber eyes studied him carefully. "And you, human, you are brave, perhaps too brave for your own good, but bravery is not enough. You need guidance if you wish to survive here." Elias felt a strange sense of hope. For the first time in months, he felt like there might be a chance, not just to survive, but to fight back effectively. He didn't know how or why, but something about Lyra gave him a sense that the tide of the war could change. As the storm above continued to rage, Elias and Lyra stood among the ruins of the plaza. Civilians emerged from their hiding places, cautiously looking at the strange pair who had saved them. For a moment, it seemed as if the world had paused, just for them. Elias felt a spark of determination ignite within him. This was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a battle for hope, and somehow he knew that meeting Lyra was only the beginning. He extended a hand toward her. "Will you help us?" he asked. Lyra looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "If you are willing to trust me, human, I will help you. But trust is not given lightly, it must be earned." Elias' hand remained outstretched. "Then I'll earn it," he said firmly. And so, amid the ruins of a shattered city, a human soldier and an alien woman, each from worlds apart, found themselves united by circumstance, courage, and an unexpected spark of hope. Little did Elias know that this encounter would change the course of his life, and perhaps the fate of humanity itself. The storm above raged on, but for the first time in a long while, Elias felt a glimmer of light in the darkness. The morning sun barely pierced through the thick clouds that hung over the ruins of Vierlia. The battle had ended, but the city was far from safe. Smoke still rose from collapsed buildings, and distant explosions occasionally shook the ground. Captain Elias Kane walked cautiously beside Lyra, his senses alert for any lingering threats. Civilians moved quietly through the streets, grateful but wary. Elias had not spoken much since the battle. He was trying to process what had happened, the alien tank destroyed, the civilians saved, and most of all, the woman who had done it. Her abilities were unlike anything he had ever seen. She was fast, strong, and precise, yet gentle with those she protected. It was as if she carried two worlds within her, the power to destroy and the heart to save. "You're extraordinary," Elias finally said, breaking the silence. Lyra glanced at him, her amber eyes calm and unreadable. "I do what I must," she said. Her voice was soft, yet carried authority. "Power alone is meaningless without purpose. You humans often forget this in the heat of battle." Elias nodded, unsure how to respond. He had been trained for combat, taught strategy and tactics, but he had never encountered anyone like her. She seemed to know things beyond his understanding, about the world, about energy, about life itself. They walked through the rubble-strewn streets toward a safer area outside the city. Lyra moved with a grace that made Elias feel clumsy in comparison, Every step she took seemed calculated and smooth, yet effortless. It was hard to look away. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To a safe place," Lyra replied. "There is much you do not know about this war, Captain, much that you must understand if you hope to survive." Elias frowned. "Why me? Why help me at all? You could have left us all to die." Lyra paused, her gaze resting on him. "Because I saw something in you. Humans are unpredictable, resilient, and sometimes they can achieve things that no other species can." Her words carried weight, and Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. She wasn't exaggerating. He had witnessed human courage countless times, but somehow she saw it in a way he hadn't before. As they moved further from the city, Elias noticed something strange. Lyra's presence seemed to make the air around her feel lighter. Even the tension in his shoulders eased slightly. He had fought alongside humans, aliens, and machines, but he had never met anyone who could change the atmosphere of a battlefield simply by existing. Finally, they arrived at a small, hidden valley outside the city. The area was shielded by natural cliffs and dense vegetation, providing a perfect hiding place. Lyra gestured for Elias to sit on a large rock while she crouched beside a small stream. "This is where I live," she said, "or at least where I have remained while the war rages." Elias looked around, noticing small signs of habitation, simple shelters, energy storage devices, and scattered tools. "You've been surviving here all this time?" "Yes," Lyra replied. "I have learned to remain hidden, to protect those who cannot defend themselves, and to avoid direct conflict with the alien forces. But war cannot be avoided forever." Elias nodded slowly, understanding her reasoning. Humanity had often underestimated the aliens' intelligence, and perhaps she had learned to survive by avoiding unnecessary battles. "You mentioned knowledge, something that could help turn the tide of this war," he asked cautiously. Lyra's eyes gleamed. "Yes. I am a scientist of my people. Before the war began, I studied advanced energy manipulation, abilities that can enhance human physical and mental capacity. But it is not simple, and not everyone can handle it." Elias' heart raced. "You mean you could make humans stronger?" "Smarter, potentially," Lyra said. "But it is not just about power, it is about understanding, control, and purpose. Without guidance, it can be dangerous. That is why I must choose carefully." Elias swallowed. "And you've chosen me." She studied him for a long moment. "Perhaps. You have courage, you have instinct. You are willing to risk yourself for others. These are rare qualities among humans. I believe you can learn if you are willing." Elias' mind spun. He had trained his whole life as a soldier, but nothing had prepared him for this. I don't know if I'm ready," he admitted. "I've seen war, I've seen people die, I've made decisions I'm not proud of. Why would you trust me with something like this?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Because you have survived, you have acted when others hesitated. You have protected life even when it was difficult. That is more than many can say." The sun broke through the clouds briefly, casting a warm light over the valley. Elias felt a strange mix of fear and hope. He had always believed strength came from weapons, from training, from tactics. But now he realized there might be something more, something inside him that he had not yet discovered. Lyra stood and moved to the center of the valley. She raised her hands, and a faint glow surrounded her. The air shimmered with energy, rippling like water under sunlight. "This is a basic exercise," she said. "I will show you how to sense and manipulate energy. You may not understand it at first, but you must focus, concentrate, and trust yourself." Elias stepped forward hesitantly. He had seen energy fields before. Aliens used them for shields, weapons, and communication, but he had never imagined he could interact with them. He took a deep breath and tried to focus, watching the subtle shifts in the air around Lyra. "Close your eyes," she instructed. "Feel the energy not just with your mind, but with your entire being. Let it flow through you." Elias obeyed. At first, he felt nothing. Doubt crept in. He had survived countless battles, but this was unlike anything he had experienced. Then a warmth spread through his chest, a subtle vibration that seemed to echo with his heartbeat. He opened his eyes, startled. Lyra was smiling. "Good," she said. "You felt it, now channel it." He focused, trying to imagine the energy moving through him, responding to his thoughts. At first, nothing happened. But then a faint glow traced the outline of his hands, as if the energy were taking shape according to his will. He gasped. "It is real," he whispered. I can feel it." "Yes," Lyra said, And this is only the beginning. Humans have incredible potential, Elias. You must learn to use it wisely. This power does not replace courage or strategy. It enhances them. For hours, they trained. Elias stumbled, grew frustrated, and often doubted himself. But Lyra was patient, guiding him with calm instructions and gentle corrections. Slowly, he learned to move faster, react quicker, and sense threats before they appeared. Each small success bolstered his confidence. During a brief pause, Elias asked, "Why help humans? Why risk yourself for us?" Lyra's expression softened. "Because I believe in potential, not just yours, but humanity's. Your species has something unique, a combination of resilience, creativity, and courage that no other race possesses. I have seen what humans are capable of when guided properly." Elias felt a swell of pride and responsibility. He had fought for survival, for orders, for duty, but now he realized there might be a greater purpose. He could be part of something bigger than himself, something that could change the course of the war. The sun dipped lower, painting the valley in shades of gold and orange. They rested beside the stream, exhausted but focused. Elias looked at Lyra and asked, "How long have you been hiding here?" "Years," she said. "Watching, learning, protecting. I could not interfere directly without understanding the consequences. But now it seems the time has come." Elias nodded, understanding her words. The war was far from over, but with Lyra's guidance, he felt a renewed sense of determination. He was no longer just a soldier fighting blindly. He had a purpose, a mentor, and a path forward. Night fell and the valley grew quiet. Stars shimmered above, reflected in the calm stream. Elias sat by the water, thinking about everything he had learned in a single day. The alien woman who saved civilians, the power he had felt for the first time, and the promise of hope in a world that had been filled with destruction. Lyra sat beside him, her presence calm and reassuring. "Rest now," she said softly. "Tomorrow we begin training in earnest. There is much to learn and time is short." Elias closed his eyes, feeling the energy within him pulse gently. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to hope. The human soldier who had once relied solely on guns and instincts now had a guide, a purpose, and a chance to become more than he had ever imagined. And as the stars shone overhead, Elias Kane understood that the encounter with Lyra was no accident. It was a gift, an unexpected chance to change not only his fate, but perhaps the fate of all humanity. The valley was quiet, except for the gentle rush of the stream and the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. Captain Elias Kane stood in the center of the clearing, sweat dripping from his forehead. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly as she watched him, her posture calm and steady. "Focus," she instructed. "Energy flows where your mind and body allow it. You cannot force it. You must guide it, let it respond naturally." Elias took a deep breath. His hands still trembled slightly, though his confidence had grown since the first day of training. The small glimmer of light that had formed around his fingers before flickered faintly again. It was weak, but it was a start. "I feel it," Elias said, his voice steady, "but it's difficult to control." "That is natural," Lyra replied. "All humans feel doubt at first. Strength is not just about the body. It is about patience, focus, and belief in yourself. Without those, even the greatest power is wasted." Elias nodded. He closed his eyes and tried to center himself. He imagined the energy moving through him, starting from his chest, flowing down his arms, and finally through his fingertips. The warmth returned, stronger this time, like a gentle river responding to his direction. "Good," Lyra said. "Now try moving it outward. Do not aim it at anything yet. Simply feel its presence. Let it extend beyond your body." Elias raised his hands slowly. A faint glow began to spread from his palms, hovering a few inches above the ground. He gasped, feeling a thrill of exhilaration. It was as if he were discovering a hidden part of himself, a part he had never known existed. "You're progressing faster than I expected," Lyra said. "Perhaps humans truly are capable of more than I imagined." Elias smiled, feeling a rare warmth of pride. "I never thought I could do this. It's incredible." Lyra's gaze softened. "Incredible, yes, but remember, power without control is dangerous. You must practice restraint, especially in battle. Impulse is the enemy of precision." For hours, Elias practiced under Lyra's watchful eyes. She corrected his posture, his breathing, and even the way he focused his thoughts. Slowly, the energy began to respond more smoothly, forming arcs of light that moved exactly as he willed. He began to feel an unusual connection, not only to the energy but to the world around him. He could sense subtle shifts in the wind, the vibrations in the ground, and even the distant hum of machines. During a break, Elias sat on a rock, wiping sweat from his brow. He looked at Lyra and asked, "How did you learn to do this yourself? Were you born with it?" Lyra shook her head. "No, my people have a natural affinity for energy manipulation, but it still requires years of study and practice. I spent decades learning, observing, and experimenting. Even I continue to improve." Elias frowned. "Decades? I don't have that kind of time. The war is happening now. If we're going to survive, I need to learn faster." "You will," Lyra said. "Humans have something rare, adaptability. You can achieve in months what my people take years to master if you are willing to push yourself. But remember, haste without understanding can be fatal." Elias clenched his fists. "I don't care, I'll take the risk, I have to." Lyra studied him quietly. "Very well, then we will begin the next stage of training, combat simulation." Elias' eyes widened. "Simulation?" She nodded. "Yes, you must learn to apply what you have learned under stress with unpredictable threats. I will create scenarios where you will face multiple dangers at once. Your instincts combined with energy control will be tested." He nodded. "Understood. Let's begin." The valley shimmered as Lyra extended her energy, creating holographic projections that mimicked alien soldiers. They moved with speed and intelligence, attacking from different angles, forcing Elias to react quickly. At first, he stumbled, overwhelmed by the sudden attacks. Blasts of energy passed dangerously close, forcing him to dive, roll, and redirect his own energy to shield himself. "Faster," Lyra called. "Predict their movement. Trust your instincts." Elias focused, letting the energy flow through him naturally. He blocked one attack, then another, his movements becoming sharper and more precise. Each successful deflection boosted his confidence. He began to anticipate the projections' actions, striking back with controlled bursts of energy. The valley echoed with the sounds of simulated battle, yet he felt a growing sense of mastery. After what felt like hours, Lyra called a halt. Elias dropped to his knees, exhausted but exhilarated. I think I'm getting it," he panted. "You are," Lyra said, smiling faintly. "But this is only the beginning. Real combat is unpredictable. You must learn to adapt, to think beyond instinct, to combine strategy with power." Elias nodded. "Then let's continue." Over the next several days, Elias' training intensified. Lyra introduced new techniques, controlling energy in different forms, using it to enhance speed, strength, and perception. She taught him to sense danger before it arrived, to read the environment like a map of possibilities. Every lesson pushed him further, demanding focus, resilience, and patience. During one session, Lyra presented him with a test. "You will navigate this course blindfolded," she explained. "Your energy will guide you, you must trust it. Every step, every movement depends on your connection to the energy around you." Elias hesitated. "Blindfolded? How is that supposed to work?" "You must trust yourself," Lyra said simply. "Humans often rely too much on sight. There is more to perception than seeing. Feel, sense, anticipate." He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and began. At first he stumbled, nearly falling over rocks and uneven ground, but slowly the energy guided him. He felt the vibrations of the earth, the subtle movements of the wind, and the distant hum of Lyra's energy field. Step by step, he moved through the course with increasing confidence. When he completed it, Lyra nodded approvingly. "You are learning to trust yourself, not just your eyes. That is progress." Elias smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "It's amazing. I never knew I could do this." Lyra studied him carefully. "Human potential is often underestimated. You have courage, creativity, and adaptability. Combined with focus and training, these traits make you formidable." As days turned into weeks, the bond between Elias and Lyra grew stronger. They trained together, shared stories, and occasionally laughed. Elias learned about her people, her world, and the knowledge she had brought with her. In turn, Lyra learned about humans, not just as soldiers, but as individuals capable of compassion, ingenuity, and courage. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elias sat by the stream, reflecting on his progress. "I never thought I'd have a chance to make a real difference," he said softly. "I used to just survive day by day. Now I feel like I can actually fight back, maybe even win." Lyra sat beside him, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "You can, but remember, true strength is not only about fighting. It is about knowing when to act, when to wait, and when to protect. Humans often forget this, but you are learning." Elias looked at her, gratitude filling his chest. I couldn't have done this without you. You could have, Lyra said, but guidance accelerates growth. Even the strongest warrior benefits from a mentor. The next morning, their training took on a new intensity. Lyra introduced combat scenarios with multiple moving targets, timed challenges, and obstacles designed to test his speed, agility, and energy control. Elias pushed himself beyond his limits, discovering strength and skill he never knew he had. Each success brought confidence, and each failure became a lesson. During one particularly difficult session, a simulation of alien soldiers advanced in coordinated patterns. Elias initially struggled, dodging blasts but failing to anticipate their movements. Frustrated, he stopped, breathing heavily. You are thinking too much, Lyra said calmly. Energy is not just a weapon, it is an extension of yourself. Trust your instincts. Move as your body and mind guide you. Elias closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and let go of doubt. He moved fluidly, energy flowing from him like a stream, deflecting attacks and countering with precision. When the simulation ended, he stood tall, exhilarated. You see, Lyra said, her voice soft but proud. Humans are capable of greatness. You have potential beyond what I imagined, and this is only the beginning. Elias felt a deep sense of purpose. For the first time, he realized that he was not merely a soldier reacting to events, he was a force capable of shaping them. And with Lyra's guidance, he could become more than he had ever dreamed. As night fell, Elias and Lyra sat together, the valley bathed in silver moonlight. He looked at her and asked, What happens next? How do we use this gift to fight back? Lyra's eyes glowed faintly. Soon you will face real battle again, but this time you will not fight alone. You will have knowledge, power, and strategy. You will inspire others, and together we will begin to change the course of this war. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. But it was a burden he no longer feared. With Lyra by his side, he felt capable of facing anything. The human soldier who had once survived by instinct now had purpose, strength, and the guidance to achieve what once seemed impossible. And so, beneath the stars of Violia, a human soldier and an alien woman continued their training, shaping not only themselves but the future of humanity, preparing for the battles that lay ahead. The dawn broke over the horizon with a faint red glow, illuminating the battlefield that stretched beyond the valley. Captain Elias Kane adjusted his gear and tightened his grip on his rifle. Today was different. Today, he would take what he had learned from Lyra and put it to the ultimate test. Beside him, Lyra floated lightly above the ground, her energy aura shimmering softly. She had guided him through months of training, but now, the lessons would face reality. The alien forces had fortified a key communications hub in the city, a strategic point that controlled drones and reinforcements across Violia. Destroying it could cripple their operations. Are you ready? Lyra asked, her voice calm but steady. Elias nodded. I've trained for this, I'll do everything I can. Good, she said. Remember what we practiced. Your instincts, your energy, and your mind must work together. Trust yourself and trust me. They moved quietly through the outskirts of the ruined city, using the debris as cover. Elias felt the familiar surge of energy flowing through him, steady and controlled. He could sense movement, subtle vibrations, even distant mechanical hums from the alien drones. Lyra's presence beside him was reassuring. She had taught him to remain calm under pressure, to see the battlefield not as chaos, but as a map of possibilities. As they approached the communications hub, they encountered a squad of alien soldiers patrolling the area. Elias crouched behind a crumbled wall, feeling the energy ripple through him. He raised his hand subtly, forming a small shield of energy that deflected a patrol drone's scanning beam. Lyra watched silently, nodding slightly. Ready, he whispered. Go, Lyra replied. With precise movements, Elias dashed across the open street, energy shielding him from detection. He released small bursts of energy to disable alien sensors without alerting the soldiers. Lyra followed, guiding him with subtle gestures and whispered instructions. Their teamwork was seamless, a combination of human improvisation and alien precision. Suddenly, an alarm blared. One of the patrols had detected them. Elias froze for a heartbeat before instinct took over. He extended his energy forward, creating a blinding flash that disoriented the aliens. Lyra moved in, striking with controlled bursts that knocked their weapons aside. In moments, the patrol was incapacitated and the path to the hub was clear. Impressive, Lyra said quietly. You are learning faster than I expected. Elias smiled briefly, though his heart still pounded. We don't have time for compliments. Let's move. They entered the communications hub, a massive structure filled with alien machinery, screens, and control panels. Elias' eyes widened. This was far more complex than any simulation they had trained in. He could feel the hum of energy in the walls, the automated defenses ready to strike at any movement. Lyra gestured toward a central control panel. That is the heart of their communications. If we destroy it, we cripple their command over the city, but it is heavily guarded. Elias nodded, recalling every lesson Lyra had taught him. Then we take it carefully, step by step. They advanced slowly, using shadows and energy to remain undetected. Aliens moved in predictable patterns, but the automated systems were faster than anything Elias had ever encountered. A single misstep could trigger alarms and summon reinforcements. Suddenly, a drone emerged from a side corridor, its sensors locking onto Elias. He raised his hand, directing a stream of energy that enveloped the machine, short-circuiting it instantly. Lyra's eyes glowed as she assisted, disabling the backup systems. Together, they moved like a single unit, human intuition guided by alien precision. As they approached the central chamber, they encountered the hub's main defense, a massive alien sentinel, its armor shimmering with adaptive energy shields. Elias froze for a moment, feeling the familiar surge of fear. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember," she said, "strength is not just physical. Use your mind, your energy, and your instincts together. You can do this." Elias took a deep breath. He had trained for this moment for months. He focused, allowing the energy within him to flow freely. The sentinel moved toward them, firing beams of energy. Elias dodged with speed he never thought possible, his movements precise, guided by intuition and Lyra's subtle corrections. He realized that brute force would not defeat this enemy. Instead, he had to think strategically. Using the environment, he lured the sentinel toward unstable machinery. With a precise burst of energy, he struck a control panel, causing the equipment to collapse onto the sentinel. Sparks flew, and the machine staggered, its shield flickering. Lyra moved forward, combining her energy with Elias to strike the sentinel's weak points. Together, they disabled it, clearing the way to the central control panel. Elias approached cautiously, placing an explosive charge he had brought for this purpose. He stepped back and with a nod from Lyra detonated it. The explosion rocked the hub, sending waves of energy and debris in all directions. Screens shattered, alarms ceased, and the hum of machinery fell silent. The communications hub was destroyed. The alien forces' coordination faltered, giving the humans a strategic advantage they had not had in months. Elias stood amidst the smoke and rubble, breathing heavily. Lyra floated beside him, her aura flickering softly. "You did well," she said. "Not because of your strength alone, but because of your mind, your instincts, and your courage. This is what I hoped you would become." Elias looked at her, a mixture of relief and pride washing over him. "I couldn't have done it without you. Your guidance, it made all the difference." Lyra shook her head slightly. "You could have. You had the potential all along. I simply showed you the way." As they exited the ruined hub, they noticed the humans in the surrounding areas rallying. With the alien communication disrupted, human soldiers moved with newfound coordination and confidence. Elias realized that their small victory had far-reaching consequences, but the battle was not over. From the distance, more alien forces approached, faster and more organized than before. Elias felt a surge of determination. He had faced simulations, training, and now real combat. He was stronger, faster, and more confident than he had ever been. And with Lyra at his side, he knew they could face anything together. "Ready?" Lyra asked, her eyes scanning the approaching enemies. Elias nodded. "Always." They moved forward, their energy flaring in response to the incoming threat. Humans rallied behind them, inspired by Elias' courage and the presence of Lyra. Together, they formed a formidable line, combining human ingenuity with alien-enhanced abilities. The aliens attacked, waves of drones and soldiers pressing forward. Elias and Lyra coordinated seamlessly, using energy bursts to shield humans, disable enemies, and strike critical points. The battlefield became a blur of movement, light, and sound, yet Elias felt a clarity he had never known. Every action, every decision was precise. At one point, a massive alien commander emerged, far larger and more heavily armored than the others. Elias instinctively moved forward, drawing the commander's attention. He dodged powerful energy blasts, using his skills to redirect attacks and protect the soldiers behind him. Lyra moved alongside him, striking with pinpoint accuracy. Together, they brought the commander down, inspiring the human soldiers to press forward. The alien forces began to retreat, disorganized and overwhelmed. Elias realized that this was more than a victory, it was a turning point. Human courage, combined with Lyra's guidance, had changed the battle's outcome. As the dust settled, Elias and Lyra stood amidst cheering soldiers. Elias felt exhaustion, relief, and pride all at once. He had faced real combat, applied everything he had learned, and survived. More importantly, he had proven that humans were capable of far more than anyone had imagined. Lyra looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "This is only the beginning, Elias. The war is far from over, but today you have shown what humans can achieve when they embrace their potential." Elias nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "Then we keep fighting together," she smiled faintly. "Together." For the first time in months, Elias felt a true sense of hope. The battlefield was no longer just a place of survival. It was a place where humans could rise, adapt, and triumph. And with Lyra's guidance, he knew they could continue to change the course of the war, one battle at a time. As the sun set over the horizon, casting golden light over the ruined city, Elias Kane stood tall. He was no longer just a soldier fighting blindly. He was a leader, a force of human potential, and a symbol of hope. And beside him, Lyra remained, a guardian, a guide, and a friend who had changed his fate forever. The war would continue, but now humanity had a spark that no alien force could extinguish. And so, amidst the ruins and the rising courage of his fellow soldiers, Elias Kane prepared for the battles ahead, knowing that with Lyra by his side, the tide of war could finally be turned. The sun rose over the battlefield of Violia, casting long shadows across the ruins of once thriving cities. Captain Elias Kane stood atop a small hill, surveying the aftermath of the previous day's battle. Alien forces were retreating, their formations broken, their morale shaken. The humans had gained an advantage they had never experienced before, and it was all because of one human soldier who had embraced the potential Lyra had shown him. Beside him, Lyra floated lightly, her energy shimmering faintly in the morning light. Her eyes scanned the horizon, always vigilant, always calculating. Elias felt a sense of pride and determination he had never known. He had grown, not just as a soldier, but as a leader, a symbol, and a hope for those who had been fighting merely to survive. "Captain," a young soldier called, running up the hill. "The alien reinforcements are regrouping near the northern ridge. They're trying to reorganize." Elias nodded. "Good, that gives us an opportunity. We strike now while they're weak and disorganized." Lyra glanced at him. "Are you ready for this? It will be dangerous." Elias tightened his grip on his rifle and felt the energy flowing through him. "I've never been more ready." They moved quickly, rallying the human forces and forming a strategy. Unlike previous battles, this time humans were coordinated. Soldiers communicated efficiently, using tactics Elias had developed with Lyra's guidance. They combined traditional combat skills with the newly discovered energy abilities, creating a powerful synergy that the alien forces could not anticipate. As they approached the northern ridge, Elias noticed the aliens had set up defensive positions, turrets, shields, and patrolling drones. It was a formidable setup, but he remained calm. He had trained for this moment. He raised his hand, and a wave of energy surged outward, disrupting the alien sensors and providing cover for the advancing humans. "Move forward," Elias shouted. "Stick to the plan." The humans advanced, using the cover of the energy wave to approach the alien defenses. Lyra moved alongside Elias, striking critical targets with precision and guiding the soldiers as they adapted to the battlefield in real time. Suddenly, a massive alien commander appeared, far larger and stronger than anything they had faced before. Its energy shield glowed brightly, and its weapon systems hummed with lethal potential. Soldiers froze momentarily, fear flashing across their faces. Elias stepped forward, feeling the familiar surge of energy within him. He met the commander's gaze, unflinching. "We've come too far to stop now," he muttered. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Focus, remember your training, you are stronger than you realize." The battle began. The alien commander fired a series of energy blasts, forcing Elias to dodge, roll, and redirect attacks using the energy control techniques he had learned. Lyra struck alongside him, disabling key systems and protecting the humans behind them. The battlefield became chaotic, but Elias felt a clarity he had never known. Every movement, every decision was precise. He realized that human ingenuity and adaptability could overcome even the most advanced technology. Using the terrain, energy manipulation, and coordinated attacks, they began to chip away at the alien commander's defenses. Each strike inspired the human soldiers, who pressed forward with renewed determination. Elias noticed a weak point in the commander's armor, an exposed joint near its energy core. He signaled to Lyra, who nodded in understanding. They moved in unison, combining their energy attacks to exploit the vulnerability. The commander staggered, its defenses faltering. "Now," Elias shouted. He surged forward, energy flowing through his body with unprecedented force, and struck the core directly. The alien commander let out a deafening roar before collapsing in a shower of sparks and debris. The humans cheered, their morale soaring. With the commander defeated, the alien forces began to retreat in disarray. Elias and Lyra stood side by side, watching the tide of battle turn in humanity's favor. As the battlefield quieted, soldiers approached Elias, offering thanks and admiration. He realized that his courage and the skills he had learned had inspired not just himself, but the entire human force. They had witnessed what was possible when humans embraced their potential and worked together. Lyra floated beside him, her eyes calm and approving. "You have done more than survive, Elias. You have led, inspired, and changed the course of this conflict." Elias looked at her, gratitude filling his heart. "I couldn't have done it without you. You showed me what humans are capable of. You helped me see that we can be more than soldiers. We can be leaders, protectors, and heroes." She smiled faintly. "And you have proven it. This is only the beginning. Together, we can continue to guide humanity to show your people what they can achieve." Elias felt a sense of purpose stronger than he had ever known. He realized that Lyra's gift was not just the energy abilities she had taught him, but the confidence and belief she had instilled in him. He had discovered a power within himself that went beyond any weapon or technology, a power rooted in courage, determination, and the uniquely human capacity to adapt and overcome. As the sun climbed higher, Elias and Lyra moved through the battlefield, helping soldiers tend to the wounded and secure the area. They coordinated efforts to rescue civilians trapped in nearby ruins, using energy to clear debris and protect them from lingering threats. The humans had learned to rely on both traditional tactics and the new abilities Elias had mastered, creating a balanced and formidable force. Later, as they rested atop the ridge, Elias looked out over the city. The alien forces had retreated, but the scars of war were everywhere: burned buildings, shattered streets, and countless lives affected. Yet amidst the destruction, he felt hope. Humanity had survived, fought back, and proven its strength. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have given humans a chance to rise, Elias. Your courage, skill, and determination have inspired them. That is your gift." Elias smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "And your guidance was the spark. Without you, I would not have seen what was possible." "Together, we've done something incredible," she nodded. "Yes, together." The following weeks saw the human forces consolidating their gains, reorganizing under Elias' leadership. Soldiers trained not just in traditional combat, but also in the energy techniques he and Lyra had developed. Communication and coordination improved, and the humans began to launch counterattacks that steadily reclaimed territory from the aliens. Elias continued to grow as a leader, learning to balance strategy, combat, and the responsibility of guiding others. Lyra remained by his side, offering knowledge, insight, and mentorship, but also learning from humans in return. She marveled at their creativity, courage, and ability to adapt under pressure. One evening, as they watched the sunset together, Elias reflected on everything that had happened. He thought about the initial battle, the training, and the victories that followed. Most of all, he thought about the unexpected gift that had changed his fate, Lyra. "You know," he said quietly, "I never imagined that meeting one person could change so much. I've learned more than I could have ever dreamed. And it's not just about fighting or winning, it's about what we can become." Lyra smiled, her amber eyes reflecting the fading light. "That is the essence of humanity, Elias. You have courage, ingenuity, and a heart willing to protect others." These are the gifts that cannot be taught but can be nurtured. Together we have nurtured them. Elias felt a sense of pride and hope swell within him. The war was far from over, but humanity had shown its potential. They had faced impossible odds, adapted, and triumphed. And now, with Lyra by his side, the future seemed brighter than ever. In the days that followed, Elias led new missions, using his skills and experience to guide human forces. Civilians were rescued, strategic points reclaimed, and morale soared. Lyra remained an essential part of the effort, offering guidance and wisdom that amplified human potential. As the final rays of the sun disappeared behind the horizon, Elias stood atop a hill overlooking the city. He felt the energy within him pulse gently, a reminder of the power he had learned to control and the journey that had brought him here. He knew that battles would continue, challenges would arise, and the road ahead would be difficult. But he also knew that humanity had strength, courage, and a spark that no enemy could extinguish. Beside him, Lyra's aura glowed softly. "You have grown far beyond what I expected, Elias. Your courage, skill, and determination have inspired not just humans, but all who witness your actions." Elias turned to her, gratitude and determination shining in his eyes. "And together we'll keep inspiring them. This is just the beginning." Lyra nodded, a faint smile on her face. "Yes, just the beginning." With that, they looked out over the city, the ruins of war bathed in the soft glow of twilight. The humans had survived, fought back, and risen stronger than ever. And at the center of it all, a human soldier and an alien woman stood side by side, symbols of courage, hope, and the unexpected gift that had changed their fate forever. And so the war continued, but humanity had discovered a new power within themselves, a power that could not be taken, a power that could not be destroyed. The human soldier who had once fought merely to survive had now become a beacon of hope, guided by the alien woman who had shown him the true potential of his species. The future was uncertain, but Elias Kane and Lyra knew one thing for certain. Together, humans could face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and shape their own destiny. And with that realization, they prepared for the battles yet to come, ready to protect, inspire, and lead humanity into a new era of courage and strength.